Welcome to Milking the Franchise, the Cash Cow Chronicles, where me and Chris watch movies. We nailed that one.
You've upped your sound effect game, Tanner. I like that.
I don't know what that was. That cannot be heard, though. Welcome to the show. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing good, Tanner. It's good to hear from you. I have a 3-day weekend coming up, and I'm looking forward very much to that.
Oh,
how are you doing? Yeah.
Good. It was Halloween yesterday. This is our last movie of spooky season. Yep. You couldn't tell by the spooky moo. And even though it's November 1st, we're going to get roasted online.
The message boards are going to go crazy.
But yeah, I dressed up as Shrek yesterday at my job and wore green face paint, and I'm still covered in green face paint.
It's like glitter. It's just going to be around for the foreseeable future for you.
I did a lot of scrubbing right before this, and I took a shower afterwards. I still have some. It's not too bad, but I still have some green highlights and stuff. A general base green layer. Mm-hmm. But Shrek with a suit and went over well.
I love that. Yeah.
Did you?
He looks. He sent me a couple pictures. He looks fantastic, listeners. Yeah.
The color was right. I got the Shrek color. Did you guys dress up as Shrek characters? Isn't that?
Did I not tell you this last week?
Well, we talked about it. Did it not happen?
Oh, it might not have made it onto air. Yeah. I also dressed up as a Shrek character, and the reason why is I have a friend who looks a lot like Lord Farquaad, and so that was the starting point. But I dressed up as the gingerbread man, which I loved because it was a costume that I could make out of cardboard and tape. But I think it came together pretty good. Go ahead.
Should have made it out of gingerbread.
Oh, that would require some sort of like talent or ability when it comes to cooking, and I just don't have those things. So,
okay.
Cardboard and tape.
You're more of an arts and crafts guy.
A big time, yeah.
Well, cool. How'd it turn out?
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. They have these things down here called it's like you can't do it too often, but they have these things down here called a chiva, which is like a party bus. And so we had 20 people dressed up like Shrek characters on this party bus, just like driving around the city. It was pretty fun.
Oh wow, yeah. I thought it was a work thing, or was it?
It was both.
Okay, got it.
Most of my friends are work friends down here, so
for sure.
Kind of how it rolls.
So I got to ask, how did my Shrek compare to your Shrek?
Well, if I'm being honest, I mean, I loved your green face paint. I loved the ears. I feel like you really embodied the je ne sais quoi, the essence of Shrek. But I will say, we have a class at our school for like fashion design and like making clothes basically, and that dude made probably 7 of the costumes for people, and they were phenomenal. Like,
that's cheating.
It's totally cheating, but I will say, when it comes to Shrekin, we had a little bit of a cheat code for sure.
So did he paint his face?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it was much better than my 5 minutes in the bathroom I spent just painting my face.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Did they say? Did you buy green face paint, or did you just Okay. Great.
Yeah. No, I went on Amazon like 2 days before Halloween and bought Shrek ears and a matching color face paint.
Fantastic.
And it's just like a little stick that you just rub on your face. Looks like a lipstick thing. And I hadn't painted my face, I don't think, since I was a kid, really, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Even though I was like sweating because I was busy and like dripping.
Yeah,
like,
you work in a bar and you were. Very true. Very true.
It's fun. But yeah, good times. Ruined a shirt probably, but that's okay.
Wor- Worth it
What's
for
that?
the Shrek, dude. Worth it for the Shrek.
Oh, it's always for the memes, dude. I did it for the meme.
Did it for the memes, yeah. So
Oh,
happy Shrektober to everybody else as well.
I just
Not
want
just
to,
Tanner and I can celebrate Shrektober.
yeah, all you Shrek fans out there, Shrek
Uh-huh.
heads. No, the main thing was a couple weeks ago we had joked about everybody at my work dressing up as Shrek and like doing our own version as Shrek of Shrek. But I came into work and I was like pretending to be mad at everybody that they didn't do it. So that was kind of the running bit of the night. I was like, got really mad at Zach and was just like, "You said we were all dressing up as Shrek," so I had that running bit, which I liked.
I love that. That's great.
I think some people believed me that I actually thought everyone was going to.
And they just left you hanging. Yeah.
And they left me hanging. Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about
What are we
is.
doing here today, Tanner?
Oh,
Have we done
this
that
is
already?
now just a Shrek stand pod.
The whole world's moving that way. We're just ahead of the curve.
Might as well be. Yeah. This is the podcast where we watch every movie in a franchise, and we talk about all the surrounding IP and everything that gets milked to death in a franchise, basically. We just watched last week the Wolfman from 1941, and now we watched the remake from 2010. It's not like a full franchise binge exactly, but we wanted to do a couple spooky movies to finish the month out. And we talked about some Universal Monster stuff, and we're gonna have some more stuff to talk about at the end today. But what are we gonna do before that, Chris? Do you want to wrap up last week?
Yeah, for sure. One of the parts of this show that we really enjoy is each week we'll put out a survey with kind of some jokes, some bits, some questions from each movie that we watch. So if you have the chance, please feel free to jump on. We have some great responses this week. And there will be a show in the show notes, a survey in the show notes this week to go along with the 2010 version of the Wolfman.
Oh yeah. Last week I posted to the Reddit, the subreddit Universal Monsters, and I've got 7 people responding and some people enjoying it, sounded like. So that's cool. I don't know if they're listening, but if you are, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I tried to also post it to the general werewolf subreddit and didn't get. I think we got one response from one of them, and it was very werewolf based. I'll just say that.
Okay, great.
Like they're into werewolves in a different way.
I don't know what that means, but I'm excited to find
out. I think when I see the response, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. The results here. Favorite line from the movie, we got overwhelming. You policemen are always in such a hurry, as if dead men hadn't all eternity.
Ooh.
I really like that line. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good one. It's not like bad or cheesy. It's just a good line.
I agree. Yeah.
A couple votes we got. Whenever I see a pretty girl, I become psychic.
Mm-hmm.
And all astronomers are amateurs. When it comes to the heavens, there's only one professional. Yeah, next question. We got creepiest thing Larry Talbot did. I still can't say Talbot. Oh my God. I talked about this last week. I keep saying Talbot. I don't know why.
Well,
Talbot.
Unfortunately, Tanner, it's going to continue to be a problem for you because there are multiple Talbots in this movie as well.
See, you did it. You said it right. How do you do that? Because it's not bit, but it's not butt. It's somewhere in the middle, and I just can't.
Yeah, you got to ride. You got to ride that line.
Got it between bit and butt.
Mm-hmm.
Creepiest thing Larry Talbot did is
pretty good that time. Not gonna lie.
I can't.
You nailed it on that one. Yep.
I gotta say it fast. Overwhelming, not overwhelming, but the winner was not taking no for an answer. Close second was spying on a strange woman with a telescope. So yeah, he was a little creepy with this girl that he liked.
Voted for murdering. That seemed way creepier than the other ones. But maybe that's just me.
I voted for giving his love a pentagram necklace, which is just a strange gift to give.
Yep.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Next question: do you wear or use a cane? I was mystified by the fact that these people kept talking about how they would wear their canes,
Uh-huh.
and I guess that's just the way it used to be. Overwhelming support for use the cane, although some people said both.
Okay.
So yeah,
All right.
I mean,
Shouts out
yeah.
to those couple people that wear and use canes. Mm-hmm.
Um, all right. So next question, we got some prompts here. Besides, they talked more cane questions. They talked about their day wear or evening wear canes. These were the two types of canes she was offering at the store. What are some of your favorite canes besides those two? We've got candy canes, pure cane sugar,
Love it.
a wolf-headed one,
Mm. As
sword
long as it's made of
cane,
silver.
yeah, a
Mm-hmm.
sword cane, which I think you brought up last week.
Uh-huh.
Silver canes. Okay, that's just another silver one. I don't really use canes. Then I got hurried, which I think
Hurry.
is like a
Is that a
hurricane,
hurricane joke? I think that's a hurricane joke.
a
Yeah.
hurried cane.
Yep.
I like that a lot.
Hurricane. That's a good one. That's a nice little joke.
And then we got brunch cane, sleeping cane, Michael Caine, and Kane the wrestler.
Okay.
And then we
All
got
great canes.
another Michael Caine, candy cane and again, sugar cane again, and Spokane.
Hey.
A little shout out to your hometown, Spokane, Washington.
That's us, baby.
Good stuff. Thank you guys. Besides a pentagram / star, what would your mark of the beast be? We got dick butt. You know dick butt, yeah.
I'm familiar with Dick Butt, yes.
Cool. A black X, an eyeball.
Wait. Black X, did Elon Musk fill out our survey? I think
He
he
must
must
have.
have.
Dude,
Yeah.
X's are so cool.
They're
Just
so
put
cool,
an
bro.
X in any word and it makes it cool.
Yeah.
A black Twitter, of course, is what they meant to say.
Uh-huh.
An eyeball, a
Okay.
zodiac sign, just any old
Which one?
sign.
Just any of
Which one?
them?
I guess, yeah, any of them.
Okay.
You start there and then you narrow it down to which zodiac sign. But
Fair. Yeah.
a,
Is
a
it like a
bite,
Zodiac killer thing?
maybe
Oh,
he is a zodiac killer. I don't think they ever found him. Right? Isn't that
yeah. Maybe he's also taking our survey. We have
he's
so many
just
celebrities that like to listen to our show. This is great.
yeah, the Zodiac Killer and Dick Butt, or who's the other one?
Oh, Elon Musk.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay. A bite mark. That's a pretty good
Okay.
mark of the beast.
Yeah.
Well, very literal. 3 slashes.
Is that
Like
like
a
the
claw mark?
like the Monster Energy drink logo?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
I think it's just a claw mark.
Just a claw mark. Okay. That makes
a,
sense.
a doggy bone. A
So
wolf.
cute.
A wolf smiling knowingly. A
Mm.
winky little wolf.
A winky little wolf. That's a great one.
That's me. A Stussy.
Uh-huh.
What is a Stussy? Is that like a bussy?
Well, I've always said it as Stussy. Like, you know the S that you make by drawing 3 lines and
Oh,
connecting
okay,
them?
yeah.
Yeah, the cool S. I've always known
Okay.
that as a Stussy, but it might have a different name.
Chris, you have brought up Stussy's maybe a dozen times on this show.
They make me laugh every single time. I will not stop.
Do kids still make Stussy's?
Yeah, of course they do.
Really?
They're
Okay.
cool. They're cool as hell.
Do you like teach your classes how to make Stussy's, or have you witnessed them like doodling them around the classroom?
Just doodled.
Doodled, really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still a big thing.
I don't know. I would say big thing, but they're still around. You know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And I think it would be a really funny mark of the beast.
Yeah, exactly. But his name would have to start with an S. Is that right?
Yes, that's true. So
Um
Lauren,
Lawrence
you
with an S.
know, Lawrence.
Lawrence. All right, next question. Why was the fortune teller an actual dog while Talbot turned into a very hairy humanoid? Um so yeah, at the beginning of the movie he gets bit by basically a dog, and then later he's a man in fur. And I was wondering why they chose to do that. So some answers we got. There's many ways to be a wolf. Why do you think werewolves and werewolf movies are all so different? That's
I,
the werewolf fan, if you didn't know.
okay, I mean that's acceptable, but like this is one particular werewolf movie, and they chose to do it two different ways.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's kind
so
of
I
my
don't.
thing. It's like, what's
Yeah,
the legend in this world, or like the rules of
right.
this world?
What are the rules?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this next answer that somebody wrote is it could be the actual just answer.
Okay.
Lugosi didn't want to wear wolf fur.
Okay.
So the actor just was probably like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to sit through all the makeup. Let's just
He's
film it.
also already Dracula. You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
probably wanted, maybe they wanted the what was the actor in the first one? The
Lon Chaney,
Lon Chaney. Yeah, he's the one with the that looks
he's
like
the
the wolf.
star.
He's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
star.
Maybe he wasn't a full werewolf, just like how he died while Talbot is immortal. Oh, I see.
Oh,
He's not a
okay.
full werewolf.
Okay.
Sure.
But enough to pass along the werewolf bite.
Well, maybe he could also be immortal if the moonlight hit him just right while he's like he has wolf bane covered on him. Because that's what happened
Mhm.
in the sequel. He was kind of risen just because of that, I guess. I don't know. Not gonna think too hard about it. Next prompt here. The bite was not the bite was not deep enough. Okay. Could be.
On the second one,
On the first
on Lon
one.
Chaney, or on the first one.
No. The first one, I think. Oh, I
But
don't know.
he went fuller wolf. Bela Lugosi went fuller wolf than Lon Chaney.
True. True. Yeah, I don't know then.
Okay, I don't know.
Oh, I see. Yeah, he was
You
only
know what I'm
bit like a
saying?
little ways, so he is like half man, half wolf instead of
Sure.
full wolf.
Yeah. Like maybe it got into his bone marrow or something.
And then we got two we got two responses similar. So everyone reacts to lycanthropy differently, and then werewolfism affects everyone differently. So just
I will accept either one of those answers. I think they're both fine
so far,
for
all of these are
yeah.
really good and
Yeah.
different. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Good answers. Um, maybe the longer you're a werewolf, the more complete the transformation. Another good answer.
Also a great answer. Yeah.
It's supposed to show us that Wolfmen actually just look like wolves to humans.
Looks like
Um,
wolves.
so we're
Oh,
seeing.
it's like
This
a
is what I
point of
said
view
last
thing.
week.
Okay.
The audience is seeing our star as the wolf, but to other people, he just looks like a dog or like a
Okay.
wolf, an actual wolf. Yeah, I don't know. Just a style choice.
Mhm.
Something with Wolfbane.
I will own that answer because it is the worst one by far.
I mean, you could. I think you're right, but it's not very
Yeah.
specific.
Those were
Um,
great answers. I think there's a
very
lot of
good.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know which one is true, but they all could be true in my
Mhm.
estimation. Next question: what did the Talbot family actually do? We got medical malpractice compounded with felony tax evasion.
I want to see that sequel.
Bought and sold land.
Okay.
Be rich.
Hmm.
Landed gentry.
What does that
Uh,
mean?
I don't know. I was just
Okay.
going to ask you that. I was hoping you knew. Gentry is a person of high birth or social standing. So they just were born
Okay. So
into.
just generational wealth. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They were essentially figureheads of Landwelly.
Lanwili?
I don't know. Old
Yeah.
money. Kardashians.
Okay.
Telescope repairmen.
Uh-huh.
Very
A lot
good.
of money in that, apparently.
So basically, they're just wealthy people that lived in
Hmm.
a town, and that makes them own the town. Next question, we asked you to rate the Wolfman 1 to 5 on a scale of wolf to man, actually. So we got a 4 is what it averages out to be. Very good. 4 out of 5. Yeah, I'd say that's accurate. Pretty good movie.
Yeah, that's how I felt about it. It was fun.
Classic old movie. Yeah, anything else you want to touch on for that and move on to the remake?
I think it's time to jump forward. Let's get to 2010, baby.
Let's jump forward. 70 years into the future. We've got the Wolfman remake from 2010. This movie stars Benicio del Toro as Lawrence Talbot himself. And let's see, Anthony Hopkins as his dad, Emily Blunt as Gwen, and then we've got what's
Things
his name?
studded with stars.
What's his name? The from the Matrix. He's not even in the credits on here. That can't be right. You know, the agent himself.
Oh, Agent Smith was in this?
Yeah, he's the investigator.
Oh, okay. His facial hair is so different. I did not place him there.
Anderson. Hugo Weaving. And
There
it's weird he's not on IMDb right here, but yeah, plays a big role in it.
Yeah, he has a huge part.
It's directed by Joe Johnston, who has made a bunch of decent movies. Jumanji, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
The old ones? He did the old Jumanji?
One.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Okay.
The Rocketeer, The Page Master, Captain America, the first Captain America they made. Jurassic Park 3. That's not very good, but and he directed some young Indiana Jones episodes I saw.
Ooh, we watched a few of those back when we did Indy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I know that this movie had a lot of production issues. So I think there was multiple directors involved, and he ended up being the guy that finalized it. The budget was massive and ballooned a lot, so we'll talk more about if it was a success at the end. But where do we start with this remake, Chris?
Oh, good question. Blackmoor, England in 1891 is where this tale takes place. I'm already spooked.
I'm scared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So should we jump into the kind of our little plot recap on Wolfman 2010?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Cool. It starts off with a little poem that reminded me of the one from the last one. I don't think it was word for word the same. But even a man,
close, I think so. Yeah.
Pretty close. Yeah. Even a man who is pure of heart and says his prayers by night may become a wolf when the wolf's bane blooms and the autumn moon is bright.
I think that's the exact
word for word. I didn't remember the first part of that poem, but yeah. Okay. So same poem from the first one, and it kind of sets the stage. We see the Wolfman immediately. Kind of the intro opening scene over the credits. Starts with like a man running away from the Wolfman, and we see him really get ripped up. And yeah, the 70 years that have happened in between, obviously we have a bunch of CGI now, and so like the effects on the Wolfman are a little more intimidating than they were in the 1941 version.
Yeah, this movie actually won an Academy Award for Best Makeup.
Oh, okay.
So this is an Academy Award-winning movie.
Okay.
Yeah, it went up against something called Barney's Choice or something. Barney's version and The Way Back, which aren't like special effects, makeup heavy movies from what I could see. But it won. So
okay. Well, this one certainly had a lot of makeup.
Yeah, or CGI. I felt like, yeah. I mean, there was makeup. The Way Back though is a movie about like they escape like a prisoner camp and they have to just like walk across like 3 countries to like get back home or something. So I think the makeup in that movie is just like a lot of dirt on their face.
Got you. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So Updated
some of
Wolfman,
that Great Depression dress up.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dust Bowl makeup.
Big time.
Yeah, so it's a lot more menacing in this one for sure.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, movie starts out with a kill, and then we get credits, and it cuts to Emily Blunt, who is writing a letter to Lawrence Talbot, and we get a little bit more information about him. I thought they did a good job of like giving these characters a little bit more backstory. Right, we didn't even know what the family did in the first one, or like what Lawrence Talbot had been up to, but in this one, he is an actor and like a stage actor. Obviously, this takes place before 1891 was before film. So he's a stage actor. He'd been in like a bunch of Shakespeare plays, and his touring company is traveling through England, and his brother has disappeared.
Yeah, so in the first one, he had already died, right? I guess
Yeah.
he has died in this, but when she writes the letter, he is just missing.
Yes,
And then by the
I'm
time
sorry.
he
I
arrived,
should have mentioned she is now the widow of his brother. So she had been married to his brother. I actually got kind of excited because at the beginning it pitched it like his brother had disappeared, and I was really hoping the brother was going to be the Wolfman.
yeah, that's kind of where I thought it was going too.
I thought they were going to make that change, but they walked away from that pretty quickly.
Yeah, so by the time he arrives there, the brother has been found dead.
Yep.
Not missing anymore. So kind of picks up in a similar
I
base.
I think the brother was the death that we saw at the very beginning.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yep.
I
was hoping the brother had been the wolf in that first
I know.
Scene. Yeah.
That would have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he shows up at Talbot Hall, which is like an old mansion, and this mansion is way more run down and dark and just
gloomy.
Gloomy compared to it's like a mess in there. Compared to the original one, which is like a nice, well kept mansion. Yeah. And you meet the dad, played by Anthony Hopkins, and he's kind of like he's just a little creepy. What do you think of Anthony Hopkins in this movie?
Oh yeah, I mean Anthony Hopkins in anything, he's got that like that side to him.
Quoting like Shakespeare, or like always quoting something, you know.
Yep. Just kind of a sinister dude. We don't need to talk about it a ton, but trying to make the audience believe that Benicio del Toro is the son of Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
A little bit of a stretch, but I will take it. They got two Academy Award winners to play the two leads in this movie. And yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed both of the performances, I think. Anthony Hopkins is kind of doing his classic thing, and I don't know. Lon Chaney, I think, was a little bit better. I don't know.
Yeah, he stuck out more. I mean, they're both great always in whatever they're in, these two. And Emily Blunt is great too. But this movie is very like the pacing of it is very like fast and kind of slapdash. Is that a word? Slapdash?
It is now.
It's very just like frenetic and like has this weird pacing to it. Even the dramatic moments where it's like doesn't let a dramatic moment breathe as long as it should, maybe, and then like goes into fast action, CGI stuff. So it's hard for me. It was hard for me to like connect on any emotional level with what's going on. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, that was a great description of all that.
Yeah. But so you meet his dad, and they kind of have a little reconnection moment. And you meet Singh, the assistant, which is like Anthony Hopkins' assistant. And it's, I don't know. Where does it go from there?
I mean, their relationship is clearly a little strained, even from this like first interaction. It's not quite the first movie. They were like buddy, him and his dad, and this one you can tell like there's some tension between the two leads. Lawrence decides he's going to go down. Lawrence Talbot, again, is Benicio del Toro, decides he's going to go down and see his brother at the coroner's office. And, he goes down there and collects his brother's things and pulls there's like a pretty sweet jump scare early where he pulls the sheet off his brother, and his brother has been like ripped to pieces. He kind of looks like a zombie. And yeah, it's that same actor from the opening scene.
Yeah, he's just ripped to shreds, basically.
Yeah,
Creepy shot. He gets a medallion from him, that has like a wolf on it, I think, or something. It's kind of like that medallion in the first movie, right? I believe that's like
yeah, it's
protects
kind
him
of what
from the
leads
werewolf.
them to the gypsies a little bit later. Yeah,
And
I
there's a
don't.
lot even in this scene right here that people are like blaming the gypsies. There's a lot of gypsy blaming in this movie. Um, like for their magic and like as soon as they come into town, this stuff happens. Um, I think that was less in the first movie than in this one. This one has a lot more of it. Um,
Okay. I
yeah,
didn't think the gypsies didn't really play as big of a part in this movie as they did in the first one. That was
you're
kind
right.
of my read on it.
By
Yeah.
the end for sure, or like halfway through. But I felt like
Yeah.
at the beginning, there's like they're at a bar and a bunch of people are like kind of yelling about him.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Well, they blame the first death on on like the circus bear that the gypsies have.
oh
Like
yeah,
that's the only
yes,
creature that's like
the
that could have
dancing
done it.
bear.
And, yeah, the dancing bear.
I was when I saw they showed the bear for a quick second. I was like,
Yeah.
please, let's see him dance. I want to see this bear dance.
I wish they'd showed that. That would have been so awesome. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. So after the scene, he gets some of his stuff, the medallion from his brother, and there's
uh-huh.
a childhood flashback scene where you
Yep.
see Lawrence as a child, kind of wandering out to somewhere outside and finds his mom dead with a knife that had like slit her throat, and his dad is there holding her, and it's a memory of him seeing his mom die. Um, and it kind of gets a little weird. There's some weird editing in that scene, where there's like two versions of him. There's like a ghostly version of him and then a normal one. Did you
Yeah.
catch that? I didn't
I did catch
understand
that. Only
any
one
of
of
that.
them like reflected in the water. The other one didn't have a reflection. Yeah, it was kind
Yeah,
of weird.
couldn't tell if they were what they were trying to say with that. But
Yeah.
either way, you find out that his dad put Lawrence in an asylum after all this happened, after he found his mom. And it's only revealed later, I think, why, right? Did they really go into why they put him in asylum?
Not at this point. And if you got it later, I would love to hear it because I don't know that I tracked with that quite as well. But
Well,
then it also mentions that they sent him to the United States to live with his aunt,
right.
kind of in this same sort of part. So yeah, he and his father do not have the best relationship, and his dad kind of pushed him away as
Yeah.
he was
Made
growing up.
him It's like he made him feel crazy for whatever he thought he saw that night,
Yes.
I think is
Yeah.
what it is. And then we'll talk about it later what he actually saw. Um but yeah. Again, like the pacing and it's like got a nauseating way of editing to me some of these moments. The action scenes are well done, but um yeah, just like the whole movie is kind of shot like an action movie. And like it doesn't have the groundedness it needs for these dramatic moments, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
it tries to be both. It tries to be
yes,
like a contemporary action movie and also a period piece. Like
but you
a
can do that. But just like they have the music of like an action scene during dramatic moments,
okay, yeah.
I don't know. That was something I noticed. By the way, Danny Elfman did the music for this movie. Um,
Oh,
you know,
Oingo Boingo guy, huh?
Boingo Boingo, Nightmare Before Christmas, Batman, so
The
many things.
Simpsons. Yeah, so
Every
many.
Tim Burton movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Probably contributes to that big budget you were talking about. I don't imagine he's a
yeah,
cheap get. Yeah.
definitely not. Yeah. Um,
Uh,
yeah, what else? What happens after this flashback?
yeah, throughout this stuff, we also are kind of like reintroduced to the widow, the Emily Blunt character, and she and Lawrence kind of have like a flirty thing going back and forth a little bit. And he takes her out into the woods and kind of shows her this place that had been special for him and his brother with a waterfall. Um, and yeah, I don't know. At this point, we kind of see Anthony Hopkins again. He asks Lawrence to stay in because he believes that it was a creature that killed his other son, but just in case it's a lunatic, he doesn't want to lose both of his sons to this event. to the Wolfman or to whatever's out there killing people.
Yeah, and I think this is where you meet Hugo Weaving as the investigator somewhere around here.
Yep.
I think the next scene I have is the gypsy camp, right?
Yeah. I thought it was funny. His dad just asked him not to go out, and he's like, "Nah, f that. I'm going to see the gypsies." So he hops on his horse, and
Yeah, he's trying to figure out what happened. He's turning into his own. He's basically investigating his brother's murder at this point,
yes.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so he's got that coin that he got from the coroner in that scene before, and so he takes it to the gypsies to see if they can kind of give him any more information about his brother. The gypsy woman, which didn't really have a name in the first Wolfman movie, is named Maleva in this movie.
Oh, it's the same name. Same name.
Oh, it was the same name. Okay, my
Yeah.
apologies. I missed that in the first one. Okay. Yeah, and while he's there talking with the gypsies, the investigator brings a hunting party to try and kill this beast, whatever this beast may be. So there's a bunch of men with guns and torches kind of coming through the woods towards the gypsy camp.
Yeah, and all hell breaks loose at this camp.
You ain't wrong. Yeah.
So it kind of starts the Wolfman is attacking, a Wolfman is attacking, and he's very fast. It kind of is like showing him they're just all kind of standing around in the crowd, and the Wolfman's like running super fast through the crowd, and nobody's noticing him, right? Like he's like so fast.
Yeah.
Did you right? And at one point he like slashes someone on the back, and just like as he like runs through it, and nobody is seeing any of this happen. Just a weird effect.
You mentioned that the director did the third Jurassic Park movie, and it kind of reminds me of like a Velociraptor scene where like guys are just getting plucked, like
yes,
like the guys on the fringes are getting grabbed and just dragged into the woods, and like
and nobody's noticing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah,
but then people start losing limbs like crazy all of a sudden.
It's so funny because it's like a prestige like piece about something, with like Academy Award winning actors, but at the same time there's just arms getting ripped off and hands getting ripped off.
It's very gory. Yeah,
it's so gory. Yeah.
So he the wolf is cutting off limbs. It's just super fast, goes by and just cutting off legs and arms and claws through someone's mouth.
Oh, that uppercut? Is that the one you're talking? Like through the bottom of the guy's jaw? Yeah, that was like kind of messed up.
So then people start to realize people are dying, and it's just panic and pandemonium. Everyone's running around. And Talbot sees the wolf, I believe, up on the hill and starts to tries to shoot at him from way far away, like so far away. And then chases after him, and there's a child as well that he's kind of running after. And I don't know what the point of the child was. Does he save the child? I think it just I think it gives him a reason to he's got to save a child. We got to throw a kid in there, so there's like some kind of thing where I'm saving the child.
It ups the hero factor of that scene for sure.
Exactly. But he gets bitten by this wolf man.
He does in a very weird. I don't know. If you have any insight on where that place was, it kind of looked like Stonehenge. It was like all these weird tall rocks. But
that's Stonehenge looking kind of rock circle area.
Yeah, and the Wolfman is like hiding on top of one of these rocks and jumps down and gets him. And then the search party manages to catch up and they scare off the wolf. But he's been bitten, and as we know from seeing the first movie, that does not bode well for our friend Lawrence Talbot. And they take him back to the gypsy camp, and the gypsy woman, I just said her name and now I'm forgetting it. Maleva sews up his wound, kind of stitches him up, and then they take him back to Talbot Hall.
And they were talking like we should just kill him, get it over with, and know his fate. Like there's some talk from them like let him live his fate kind of thing. But Yeah, he goes back, and now there's like a scene of him recovering for a long time, and Emily Blunt ended up staying around, right? I thought she was
Yep.
leaving, and then she didn't. So she's like bedside with him the entire time as he's recovering. He's having all sorts of nightmares and sweating, and um, yeah. So I
It
think,
also I also kind of liked this. It shows the moon cycle with it, right? So
yeah,
like he only turns into a wolf man during like a full moon or like a big moon. And so we see the moon like waning, going down to a new moon. And then like
yeah.
for the next cycle, he's Wolfman. And so for this one, he's just recovering and healing, but not yet the Wolfman because the moon is not right.
Yeah, they actually make a point in this one to like we talked about it last week where is it a full moon because he turns into the Wolfman like every day.
Yeah.
And I think you're right that they didn't add the full moon thing till later in like the werewolf lore, because, or at least it wasn't in that first movie. But in this
Yeah.
one, it specifically is a full moon, not just a bright autumn moon or whatever.
But
Yeah,
it is like 2 nights in a row at the beginning, right? So I don't know if it's
is it?
fully full or just like a big moon,
Is it 2 nights in a row?
right? Because his brother dies, and then the very next night
Oh no,
he's
that's
out.
way later because that's a month later at least because it takes him a while to get there from
Oh,
America or
okay,
whatever.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
because
I'll
she
take
writes
that.
the
I'll take
letter,
that.
then like he's
Yep.
missing, then he gets there and the body's already been found. Yeah.
Okay.
So definitely time has passed. They make a point of making sure time passes between actually each transformation.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like the moon going up and down, like the fast shot of it changing. Um, but yeah, let's see what happens here. I guess so.
Yeah.
He's been recovering for weeks at this point, right? Until he finally comes to, and um,
And then he
his
kind of
arm's healing.
recovers really fast at the end. And I think that's kind of like in the first one. Remember how his wound like went away all at once?
Yeah.
So we get a little bit of that, and then we see him walking around. We meet Singh again, who's the uh, like the assistant, kind of the man servant at Talbot Hall, and he has just an arsenal of weapons and silver bullets, and drops the line. Or Lawrence asks him, "I didn't know you hunted monsters," and he says, "Sometimes monsters hunt you."
Sometimes monsters
Da,
what?
da, da. Sometimes monsters hunt you.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And then we get a scene. The inspector comes to see Lawrence, and it's pretty clear that Lawrence is like the main suspect, because he'd spent time in an asylum, and there aren't any creatures like that in England. So it's likely a psycho or something strange. And they kind of have a little back and forth. And yeah, anything else from this scene? Anything else you can think of?
No, I don't know if it's the scene, but he all of a sudden it might be right after this, but he has a dog. He like has a dog all of a sudden, and he has a
Uh-huh.
connection with this dog, um, which I just thought was I don't know where this dog came from, but he shows up a few times in the movie. Um, but
Yeah,
they do mention that the cop was in charge of the Ripper case, the Jack the Ripper case, which I thought
I
was
like that too. That was a
kind
nice
of a
touch.
silly connection to me,
Yeah.
but but
It's so funny to me that he was accusing him because like people scared the wolf away. Like people saw him get attacked.
this is what I was gonna say. There's so many witnesses, right?
There were so many witnesses this time, and like in the gypsy camp, like people were getting killed, and he was also there, not as a wolf. Like it
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
baffled me a little bit. It's like so obvious that he wasn't the one to this point in the movie that was the wolf man, but
Yeah, they think he just like showed up there and started brutally cutting off limbs and slicing people up somehow. Because this is the thing where they think they're saying like, oh, he's just a crazy psycho guy, not
yeah.
even that he is a wolf man. That's not what they're even saying, just that he is crazy, and doing the killing. But yeah, I think I thought about it after I wrote this down that maybe the gypsy camp had moved on, and so then there was nobody to ask. There's no witnesses to talk to because the camp had moved.
That could be, but we see them again at the end of the movie.
Well, maybe they're coming back through. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Because a lot of time actually passes, like we were saying. Like he turns
Yeah,
into the
between
Wolfman like
events.
4 or 5 times, so it's got to be at least 4 or 5 months of that this takes place over. Um, but yeah, so he's dealing with having some flashbacks and some moments of feeling like he's turning into a wolf or something. Him and Emily Blunt have a moment down by the water, and he teaches her how to skip rocks.
So romantic.
That's the only fun they could have back then.
I wish a big strong wolf man would show me how to skip rocks.
Oh, Chris, one day you'll find your strong wolf man.
Um,
Yeah, so they do that, and he
yeah,
can
they have a
hear
little moment. They have a
a
little
little
moment. She
moment.
felt guilty because it was her letter that kind of brought him back to Talbot Hall, and it's because of that letter that he got attacked. But they're kind of feeling each other a little bit. And like Tanner said, throughout this scene, we're starting to see these like wolfy hallucinations. He has not transformed yet, but it's clearly in the air.
Yeah, his scar's gone. He can hear a group of people from super far away, so he's got super hearing all of a sudden as well.
Yeah, I thought that transition at the end of this scene was so funny because he just goes, "Hear that? Horses," and then it cuts to horses.
Yeah.
Like it's like a different part of the castle, and they're
So the whole town is like coming after him at this point, right? And
Yep.
kind of like hunting him down, which I don't understand still why they just all think it's him all of a sudden. I guess it's because they know he was crazy and he's an outsider in this town, and then shit happens right when he shows up. I think
Yeah,
that's what it is.
I think that's got to be it.
And then there's a montage of them all just making silver bullets and like kind of preparing for this beast and stuff like that.
I had one other scene in there first, because the posse comes to grab him, and they like have him pretty much like grabbed up. Like there's like 10 guys there with guns, and he walks out to talk to them because he doesn't think like he's a suspect or they're going to arrest him. But his dad has to come out. Anthony Hopkins has to come out, shoots a statue, and like basically says Singh is on the roof and he's going to shoot any of you guys if you take my son. Don't ever come back here. Kind of a thing.
Right.
Yeah. And then we get that montage of silver bullets. The town is clearly freaked out about whatever's going on. And they don't trust Lawrence.
They don't trust like that.
They don't trust like that. They ain't like that.
Yeah, so and let's see, after that, I believe is he shows up at the pub, the investigator.
Yep.
He mentions, she's like, "Why aren't you out there looking for him?" And he's like, "Well, there's all the people live within like 100 meters of here, so I'm going to be as close as I can to where the people are if something goes down tonight." And he says, "Rules. They're all that keep us from a dog-eat-dog world."
Or a wolf-eat-wolf world.
A
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
So then there's some scenes that I feel like I just left out and skipped, but if I missed something, let me know. I believe the next scene he goes down into this crypt below his house, right?
Yeah, before we get on the way to there, because that is the scene. Again, his dad tells him to not go out because it's full moon time, right? So the creature's going to be there. So I think like if I ever have kids and I want them to be back for curfew, I'm going to show them this movie because there's like a recurring theme. Like dad knows best. Don't go outside.
Yeah, there's a wolf man outside.
There's
I mean,
a
this
wolf
is
man
how
at the door.
this is like those old grim fairy tales that were used to teach kids to not, wander off on their own or whatever.
Yeah. So lessons to be learned here, listeners.
You should show them this version of this movie, as young as possible. That's my
as young as
advice.
possible. Absolutely. To all the parents out there. Yeah. So Lawrence disobeys his dad, and then we're to, because it seems like a great time to go visit your mom's grave on a full moon when you might be a wolf man.
Yeah, I don't know why he goes down there exactly, but he goes down, and I guess there's just kind of a, what do you want to call it? A remembrance, not a remembrance, but just a little shrine for his mom down below there, right?
Yeah, yeah. He
It's like a
follows like a
statue
creepy
of her.
tunnel. Yep.
Yeah. And then his dad comes in. They have a little conversation. He says a bunch of hooey that you don't really know what he's talking about. Did you have any specifics about what Anthony Hopkins is talking about here?
Not really. Yeah.
He quotes some more things, I believe, and then like he locks himself in right at the last second into this crypt room, and Benicio del Toro turns into the Wolfman. And you don't know, but spoilers, Anthony Hopkins is also turning into a Wolfman here.
Dun dun dun. Yeah.
Dun,
So
dun.
at the time, you really think that he's locking himself away from his son.
Yeah.
But part of his coping strategy as a Wolfman in his own right is to lock himself in this crypt every full moon.
Yeah, so he keeps himself away from the murders by locking himself in, and Singh is there to lock him in as well, the assistant, to help him not kill a bunch of people.
Does
But
Anthony Hopkins know that his son is also a Wolfman at this point?
I think so, yeah.
Why didn't he lock both of them in there?
I don't know. Did he turn?
Okay.
I also wondered, did he turn his son into a wolf? Was the Wolfman at the beginning or in the gypsy camp? Was that him?
It must have been, right? That's the only other
Yeah.
Wolfman to this point in the movie. Yeah.
Yep. Because it's not in the first movie, he killed the Wolfman and then turned into one. But in this one, like that wolf gets away.
Yeah.
So, and this is kind of, so I was alluding to it earlier. I'll just get it out now, is that he went to this insane asylum when he was younger, because he saw his mom's death. But I think they show that flashback again, and then it's Anthony Hopkins as a wolf, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm wondering, I guess
That's the big twist at the end, is not only is dad a wolf, but he was responsible for mom's death. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I spoiled that too early, but it just kind of plays into this next scene where he goes back to the insane asylum. Or pretty soon that's happening. But yeah, so they sent him away because he probably saw his dad as the wolf, and he wanted to convince him that he was crazy for seeing these things. And then later on in his life, he like doesn't really remember it. He remembers it differently than how it actually happened, because they like tortured him to forget, basically.
That could be. Yeah. I actually
yeah.
just had a thought too, because there's another little scene in here. So he and his dad kind of have this confrontation, and as he's leaving his dad, he like morphs into the wolf, right, and goes out. The inspector grabs his horse, and there's like a showdown between the Wolfman and the inspector and all his dudes. And the Wolfman kills like 3 or 4 dudes, and a bunch of violent deaths, a bunch
more limbs ripped off, a head completely swiped off.
He decapitates a dude. Yeah, cuts off.
He chases the guy down, and the guy is like trying to shoot him, and then the guy's like at the last second tries to kill himself before he gets hit by the Wolfman. The gun is empty, and he swipes his head off completely. That made me laugh out loud.
Me too. Yeah, just so over, and it's just like it's just so over the top, gory and violent. And then 10 minutes earlier, it was like a long dialogue heavy scene between Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins, and it just goes back and forth like between
the prestige drama moments.
Yes.
And then,
and then like
a wacky
horror. Yeah. There's one part in here too where a guy's arm gets cut off, but he's holding a gun, and when the amputated arm hits the ground, the gun fires, and it's just like, hey, it's a cartoon, you know?
Yeah. Also, I like right when he turns into it, the Wolfman in the house, he howls, and the entire town can hear the howling. It's like everybody in town can hear it. That must be a very loud howl.
Yeah.
So yeah, he has that moment. He kills a bunch of people. He falls in the traps that they set, but he gets out. He can jump really high. He can run really fast. And he wakes up the next morning covered in blood, with his dad there, and says, "You've done really terrible things, Lawrence."
I'm kind of wondering if that's why he let him go, like why he didn't lock him inside. Like he's pinning all this on his son.
Yeah, they make him out to be a villain for sure.
Yeah,
In a lot of ways. I mean, he does try to stop himself from turning the Wolfman, but he also doesn't want to like not be the Wolfman anymore.
yeah.
But so
Can
he
you
basically turns
imagine,
him in
Tanner?
here.
Can you imagine
Yeah.
a worse way to wake up than Anthony Hopkins saying in Anthony Hopkins' voice, "You've done terrible things"?
I don't know. It sounds
Pretty
pretty
bad way to
cool.
wake up. Pretty cool to you? Okay.
I mean, if it was Anthony Hopkins saying it, like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, you're Anthony Hopkins. I don't care that I
Mhm.
killed a bunch of people." Um, yeah.
Hannibal's
So
here.
he tries to sort of run, but there's a bunch of guys on horseback coming to get him, and I guess his dad turned him in, um, because he goes back to the asylum to
Yes,
convince,
sir.
to just be like, "Hey, you're crazy. None of this is actually happening." So this guy's being fucking gaslit and tortured into, uh, you know, not because he doesn't. I guess Anthony Hopkins doesn't want him to know that he's the Wolfman fully, so he's trying to convince him that he's crazy. Is that what it is?
Well, I mean, the way I had it is like Anthony Hopkins did a couple murders as the first Wolfman, like a bunch of them. And if his son takes the fall, then he's kind of off the hook for the death of his other son and all the people at the gypsy camp. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
like, this is his get out of jail free card, his own son.
But the whole
Um,
thing is like it's not quite his fault because he can't control himself as the Wolfman. So it's like, I don't know.
yep, it's a fair point. Yeah.
But yeah, so he goes back to the asylum. They do this thing where it's like an ice water dunk, and they strap him to a chair and like crank him back into some ice water as
That
like a.
looked so horrible. Like,
I don't get the point of it exactly, but it's
yeah.
just something they probably did. It's like the old school insane asylums with lobotomies and all sorts of crazy tactics that they did to crazy people back then.
Yep. It kind of leads
And
into like a weird hallucination montage too. So they're just setting up like he's in this is his low point, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
And this is in the jail cell or the cell at the asylum here. His dad talks to him at one point, and this is where he reveals that he is the wolf who was bit by a feral child, and that he killed his mom, and that he actually killed his brother as well. And all of it an accident. I don't think he wanted to kill them necessarily, but yeah. What else does he reveal here?
It's the
About it?
werewolf disease. Yeah, no, he's the villain. He's the cause of all. He's the cause of all of Lawrence's pain. Is his father? You know, the dead mom,
Yeah.
the dead brother, and now he himself is a werewolf because of his father.
And even worse than like being the werewolf and all these things, he like tortured his son to forget, basically.
Yeah.
Like made him feel like he was crazy, so he would like misremember what happened. Like that's worse than the killings, because the killings he can't control. He turns into the Wolfman. He just starts killing everything. It's not like he's out to kill these people when he does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The motivation behind it is different. But he leaves a knife for him to maybe kill himself when he's in this jail cell, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
And then it goes to a scene which is kind of confusing, but it's like all the doctors and investigators in a small room, and he's strapped to this chair, and the doctor's kind of talking about lycanthropy and how he's just crazy and isn't an actual wolfman, but he thinks he's a wolf or something, right?
Right. And the only thing they have to do is show him that a full moon will not turn him into a wolf to break through this bout
Okay,
of
that's what it
craziness.
is.
Yeah, they
I
were
see.
just trying to like.
Yeah, they kind of do something like that in the first movie, right? Like if you could just see that you can live through the full moon without. There's something like that where he wants him to just like see that he isn't a wolf or something.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that. That's what they were doing here.
But
Exactly.
this one's in front of, yeah, it's like a nighttime science lecture, and they're getting real like Sigmund Freud with stuff. Like we just need to address his id, and like, yeah, like there's something deep wrong with him, but we'll prove it to him, because when the moon shines, he's not going to turn into a wolf, and we'll prove
Well,
it
what
to him that
happens?
he's not a wolf man.
What does
It's
happen?
morphin time, baby. He Lawrence realizes what's going on, and he gets pissed because he's like, I'm gonna kill all of you. He drops the line, I will kill all of you, right before he turns into a wolf. And the main scientist dude gets thrown out a window, and he lands on the top of a spiky fence. It's like another super gory death.
Yeah.
And the Wolfman goes around and kills a few more.
I like in that scene, like he kills some people in this room, and like somehow the doors just lock and everyone gets stuck inside. It's like, of
Yeah,
course,
exactly.
they're all stuck in this tiny room.
Yeah, and no one
Yeah.
planned ahead for like the chance that the Wolfman turns into a Wolfman. They're there to prove him wrong, but they had no plan B, no backup plan.
Let's be in the smallest, tightest room possible, completely filled with people. And when the pandemonium starts, we'll all be trapped in there.
Yeah,
It really would take nobody. Like, if you wanted to prove to him that he's not crazy, you could just do it in a room with just him. You don't need to like bring anyone in there.
right.
Um,
Or
yeah,
like actually
if you're
lock
trying
him
to,
up. He was just like tied up with rope. It was like not. He got
yeah.
out immediately. Yeah.
Well, they underestimated his super strengths.
Also true. Also true.
So he gets out on the rooftops, and now he's running as the Wolfman, across the rooftops of what looks like London or whatever town he's in. I think he's in London at this point,
It's
right?
for sure London, because we see the London Bridge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I notice any movie that takes place in Victorian England has shots of people running on rooftops and like views from rooftops.
Yeah,
Have you
big
noticed
time.
this?
Yeah, yeah.
Every
I
movie that
don't
takes
know
place
that I
during this
connected
time.
this to other movies, but I did write that this is like there's some big chimney sweep energy in this scene.
There's like a specific look that Hollywood has for Victorian England as like a overview, and it's
Yeah,
in every version. Any movie that takes place in this has a scene where they're like looking over Victorian England. I don't know.
every Sherlock Holmes movie,
Yes.
every one of these. Yes.
I
I've read.
Frankenstein.
Uh huh. Oh God, that movie.
I could be wrong about that.
It's probably in there.
It just reminded me of the CGI level, a similar time where it's kind of, I don't know. It wasn't a great time for CGI in my opinion.
Mhm.
Like a little cheesy. Luckily, this movie is really dark and the makeup is good. Yeah, but anyways, what happens? He's getting chased through the streets. Well, he's running on the rooftops. Inspector's kind of chasing him down, shooting at him, right?
Yeah, it's a pretty big chase scene, and quite a few more neck slashes.
He
And it's
jumps
very,
into like a moving carriage at one point, like a steam carriage maybe,
yeah,
and just kills everybody in there. Um, yeah, man, woman doesn't matter. He's killing everyone.
yep. It kind of culminates with him jumping over a car, just this huge supernatural leap over the car that the inspector is in. And then it kind of shows him going to bed near the river and sneaking into Gwen's house to kind of like clean himself up in the morning.
Yeah, so Gwen does still own an antique shop apparently, or work at an antique shop.
Oh yeah, that was in the first. I'm actually
Yeah.
kind of impressed with how much of the stuff they used from the first movie in this remake. They use the telescope. They have the same set of characters.
Wait, did they have a telescope?
Yeah, they don't really talk about it, but they show whenever they look at the moon. Yeah, they have a big telescope.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They don't use it to spy on Gwen, but it's there too.
Yeah. So she gets into her antique shop the next morning, and he's in there, hiding out, and she now obviously they kind of did an okay job, but kind of a bad job of making them like they're kind of in love or something. She really likes him. I don't know. It's not like a full on love story. I don't even think they ever kiss, but
They kiss.
so
They kiss right here.
Do they kiss right here?
They
Okay.
kiss right here. Yeah, she finds him in her antique shop covered in blood, and that's the right time for some romance.
Yo, he is.
Romance.
Yeah, so she wants to like cure him. She says, if such things exist, if they are possible, then everything is magic, God. So
Even
she
magic and God?
even that. So
Wow.
she believes that she can maybe cure him, because if you can turn into something, then you could maybe turn back from something. So that's kind of her angle here. She wants to help him and cure him. But then the investigator comes to the door, and I don't really understand why they suspected her at all, or why they think she would be harboring him at all. But
Yeah.
they do think that, right?
They sure do. I agree with you. I don't know why. Maybe, I guess, because she's the only other character in this movie who's not his dad.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it doesn't really seem, she's the widow of his brother. So I'm not quite sure how they
Yeah.
connected that.
It's like
But
they come to her the next morning, like, I know he's in here, kind of attitude. It's
mhm.
like, why would he necessarily be in there? He could be anywhere. He could have
Yeah,
ran to the next town for all you know. Um, but yeah, so much so that they know he's in there, that they go over to. They think he's behind a mirror. They see some legs behind a mirror, and they're like, "I know that's you." And they shoot the mirror, and it's just a statue behind there. Like, they fucking just go in and start shooting things inside of her antique store. That's awful. Yeah. Anyways, what
it's what
happens
they'll
next?
do to it's what they'll do to get that Wolfman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she goes on a mission to talk to the gypsy woman and tries to
And
find a cure for him.
he did escape their little
Oh yeah.
raid of the antique store, and he has like headed off into the woods, sort of. But then he ends up back at home later. He just kind of goes on a hike. It seems like for the next little bit here.
Yeah, they show him walking through town with like a top hat and stuff, like he's hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, Gwen tracks down Maleva, and she makes it very clear in that scene that she wants to save Lawrence. She thinks that she can, have the man and not the beast.
What happens with that anyway? What does she say? I can't remember.
I mean, I don't have the words in front of me, but she wants to save him, and the
Does she
Maleva is
offer
like,
any help?
she just kind of says good luck. She doesn't give her. There's no like talisman like there was in the first movie, and the gypsy initially is like, you need to just let him go wild,
Live out
wild
his fate.
Exactly, live out his fate. And but she says no. She wants to save him, and so she says good luck. And meanwhile, the cops are going to kill Lawrence Talbot. Not even the Wolfman on site. If they see him, they're shooting him. They've got their silver bullets. Can we talk about that? Why are silver bullets? Do you have any idea why silver bullets are the monster killer?
I don't know. Yeah, at some point that was decided in lore. I have no idea.
Okay,
It was
well,
it was definitely like that in the first one too. What were you gonna say?
yeah, it's probably some like alchemy thing that I just don't know about. But I am curious.
I bet it was just written in whatever the original like werewolf story was, in whatever, I don't even know, the 1800s or whenever that first became a legend. I bet like they're like, oh well, you can't be killed with normal bullets. Let's make sure we have a thing where they're killed with silver bullets specifically. I bet it was just the writer whoever made it up at some point, and it kind of became the lore for a werewolf.
Sure.
That'd be my guess.
I'm also looking online. It also says that back in the day, silver was like a cure for disease, before people knew how diseases work.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. So,
yeah, cures the
anyway,
werewolf disease.
Here's the werewolf disease. Yep. Anyway, so they're going to kill Talbot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He goes back to his house and he finds Singh, the assistant, just like strung up and dead AF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was Singh's job to lock his father in the crypt every month. So his father has gone full werewolf.
Yep.
and
And they have a little
even killed the guy who was trying to keep him kind of locked up.
Yeah, I don't understand why at this point he's decided to go like fuck it. Like he was keeping himself locked up for years, right? So he
Years,
wouldn't
yeah,
kill. Why?
yeah,
Why now? Why is he deciding
like
to
30
fuck it?
years. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, they have a little confrontation. Not sure exactly what's said. Just more. I feel like his Anthony Hopkins is like playing the piano and doing more quotes. Like he's quoting Shakespeare or whoever he's quoting again. He always has some like just witticism or quote or something that he's saying. Um, and he comes at him with a gun. Benicio del Toro does, and with a shotgun, and he points it at his face, and he fires twice, and nothing happens. And Anthony Hopkins says, "I had the gunpowder removed from those shells many years ago."
Yeah, because
Why?
he's a werewolf. He doesn't want silver bullets at work, right? That's the only
Well,
thing
why
that
wouldn't
can
he
kill
just
him.
get rid of the bullets then? Why are they? They're fake silver bullets, I guess, or they're like
Yes,
decoys in case someone tries to kill him with that specific bullet.
I
I don't
think
know.
that's it. Well, my guess is that they were bullets that Singh was using,
So
right? Because Singh was
he
like
wouldn't let
yeah,
he didn't actually want Singh to kill him if
yeah,
that came to it. I see.
yeah.
That makes more sense.
That's how I read that scene. But yeah, he pulled the powder out of the silver bullets. And in this, like in that scene, they also kind of start a little fire in Talbot Castle, like they knock over a lantern. And that fire continues to spread. And then comes, I think this has got to be like I feel like this was the scene that they figured out first, and then they made a lot of the choices to get to this next scene. Would you agree?
I think so. The fight, the showdown.
Yeah, it's like a wolf off.
Yeah, wolf off.
Wolf off. Uh,
Yeah, father versus son, Wolfman versus Wolfman.
mm-hmm. I kind of think they should have called this movie Wolf Men.
I was thinking that too.
Just pluralize that baby, you know?
Double Wolfman.
Wolfman. Yeah, and so yes, the full moon comes out, and both Lawrence and his father transform into wolves, and begin fighting each other. And Lawrence is getting beat pretty bad. He's getting ripped up, and until he finally kicks. He has this big like double kick where he sends Anthony Hopkins like flying across the room into the fireplace.
Yeah.
It's like
Then we got a flaming Wolfman attacking him as well.
Yep. And I don't know what was on Anthony Hopkins, but he catches fire like crazy. It's like a tinderbox, and so he's
It's
just
fur.
this flaming. Would wolf fur catch fire like that?
I mean, I can see how they would get there. I don't know if it's that flammable, like animal fur.
Well,
But,
as a wolf, he did not know how to stop, drop, and roll because he's just a ball of fire at this point.
Completely head to toe fire. Yeah, it's not like a piece of him. Just
Exactly.
ignited in flames. Yeah. But he comes at him on fire, and Benicio del Toro wipes his head right off.
Yep. Second decapitation of this movie.
And his head goes flying on the ground and turns into Anthony Hopkins' head.
Yeah, like unwolfs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so everything's burning. The house is completely like pretty much on fire at this time. And Emily Blunt, or the inspector, shows up at the house and is attempting to kill him. He points the gun, and right at the last second, Emily Blunt shows up as well and knocks the gun out of his hand, stops him from shooting him. And then he runs away.
Yeah, but not before a little fight scene with the inspector where the inspector is bitten, but not killed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. They don't really touch it. They don't really like follow through on that foreshadowing in this movie, but you know, I think they kind of set it up at the end like he could be, you know.
Yeah.
He's a
At the
Wolfman.
very end, yeah, he's definitely going to be a Wolfman. That's what they were, I think, implying the last shot. But so he chases after Emily Blunt through the woods.
And the castle is burning to the ground.
He meets her. Yeah, the castle's done for. He meets her like right at that waterfall where they had a moment early in the movie, and he gets on top of her and is like maybe gonna kill her, and she's like, "You know me, you know who I am. I'm Gwen," and it gets through to him even as the werewolf. So like
It's that
somehow
classic scene whenever anybody is like hypnotized or like has amnesia in any movie. You know what I mean?
it's me. The one you love is always the one that's gonna be able to get through to him, right?
But it's me. You know me.
You would never kill me. You snap out of it.
Exactly.
And so he doesn't, or he like resists for a second, and he hears people coming, um, and right at the last second, after she says that, she grabs the gun and shoots him through the heart and kills him. Which
Yep.
is
It did
I
look
don't,
like he was about to attack her.
yeah, because she grabbed the gun though too. Like he hears people coming, looks back, she grabs the gun, and then he's like, "Oh shit, she's about to shoot me." So I couldn't tell. It was maybe a moment of like, was she getting through to him or not? I don't know. And I think that's kind of what they wanted it to be like.
Yeah, it's a little
Was
ambiguous.
Yeah, was he coming? Was he conscious or not, in a coma or not? You know.
Yeah.
But I also thought that was weird because she ends up killing him right here. But just a few minutes ago, she knocked the gun out of the inspector's hand from killing him. Why didn't she just let him kill him? I guess she wanted to do it. I don't know.
Great question. Yeah. Or maybe she had seen at that point that she couldn't save him. You know, like
Yeah, that's true.
you know, she saw there was a little bit of Lawrence in there, but there was a lot of monster, and there, you know, she wasn't going to be able to save him the way she thought.
Yep.
Um,
So
yeah,
yeah, they have that little moment. He turns back into human form for one last goodbye and thanks her for releasing him and killing him. And
yep,
then you see the inspector shows up and he's kind of bloodied and wounded, and you definitely get the sense that they show the full moon and then back to him, and that he's going to turn into a Wolfman as well.
yeah.
So
He's
maybe
about
the
to man.
sequel, maybe we'll get a
Mhm.
sequel. Um, the
I
final
mean,
line of the
the
movie,
world is
she's
clamoring for a sequel to this
maybe it'll be Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
movie. Maybe, yeah.
The final line of the movie, it says, "It is said, there is no sin in killing a beast, only in killing a man. But where does one begin and the
And
other
the
end?"
other end, yeah.
Yeah. And then
Spooky.
the movie ends.
Yeah,
Ooh. Chris, I gotta ask you,
yeah.
is this movie insane?
This movie's a little bit insane. I will say that.
What'd
What
you
did you
think?
think? Yeah,
Um, I thought it's oh, okay, so the pacing is way off and the dramatic moments don't really hit. The action scenes are entertaining, I guess, and fun, and I wasn't bored. And as we know, that's the mortal sin of any good or bad movie, or any movie, is just
just being boring.
boredom. Yeah, it can be bad and entertaining. It can be good, of course, but boring. It wasn't that, I wouldn't say, which is good. So
Yep.
I thought it was okay at best. Again, like I really didn't like the pacing of it and the
Yeah.
freneticness of it and the dramatic moment. Music was too, uh, yeah, I don't know.
The music
What
was a
did you?
little too in your face for me. It was like
Yeah,
really loud strings and there was like choral chanting. It was like really trying to, I don't know, it was a little in your face. I also thought Lon Chaney was just a better Wolfman than Benicio del Toro, and I love Benicio del Toro, but I just,
totally.
I just didn't think he was as good. And
Yeah, but
yeah,
I think that's a problem with the direction and the writing kind of thing. Like it didn't give him. It didn't ever let it breathe. Like they let Lon Chaney like show his emotion of like he just has this look of like a tortured soul kind of thing, and
yeah,
Benicio
and
kind
they
of has that. He has those eyes, like those kind of sunken eyes, where he can play like a tortured soul, but they didn't let those moments breathe at all,
right.
or like
They
yeah,
didn't make him very like relatable as a character. And so like all the stuff we complained about last week of him acting like kind of a creep towards the lady were like some of the moments that like also like made him a more well-rounded protagonist, but this movie didn't quite have them as well. I will say I liked and I mentioned this before, but I did like uh how they were able to kind of walk the line between staying true to the 1941 movie, but also adding a couple new twists. The dad
The
being a
werewolf.
Wolfman also, and like what happened to his mother, and some of those little details I did think were nice. But yeah, I think this is a worse movie than the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, by my calculation.
I could have done without the mother story and the father being the killer. Like, I don't think you need all of that. They were trying to add more emotion to everything, right?
Yeah.
But
Oh, the end of that father-son relation. They were really making Anthony Hopkins to be the villain here.
yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely don't think it needed that. I think just the dealing with a character study of somebody dealing with this infliction and this burden is
Sure.
good enough. You know what I mean? And that's all it
Without a
needs to
doubt.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what they did.
Uh-huh.
Chris, do you have any MVPs or beef you want to talk about?
MVPs. I mean, the one piece of beef that I think we haven't talked about, I thought I don't know, the way that they chose to animate the Wolfman was both as a wolf and as a wolfman. Remember we talked about in our survey, like why was Bella Lugosi a wolf, and why was the other one a wolf man? This one kind of tried to split the difference with CGI, and so some of the scenes where it's a man running like a wolf looked really stupid to me.
It had that
and I
classic
think
happens so many times in like that CGI 2000s era where the somebody running like that, like a dog or like a
yeah,
wolf. You know, I've seen
yeah,
that in a lot of different things, and it does look very cheesy.
yeah.
Yeah.
But MVPs, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
The
I like the
makeup,
performances. I like the makeup. But yeah, I think I like them in the first movie a little better. What do
definitely.
you got for milk and beef, or for beef for MVP here?
Yeah, the beef is the pacing of it. Also, I thought that Anthony Hopkins, I didn't really like. I love him and his presence, but like
Yeah,
he felt like he was phoning it in for a lot of this movie, where
he
he's just
probably
like
was. Yeah,
just shitting out like weird little lines of um they're supposed to be really deep and poetic or something, but it just was not working for that because the movie tries to have its cake and eat it too, like you were talking about with the two different wolf styles, where it's just like it wants to be a drama and an action and just a crazy action movie
yeah.
and it cannot find um
It doesn't find
find the
one tone;
balance.
it finds two tones, and it jumps back and
Yeah,
forth between them. Yeah,
yeah, and never really nails either of them.
kind of like a
Um,
wolf man.
the action scenes are more entertaining than I thought, so I'll give yeah exactly. Good
Yeah,
call.
yeah.
Actually, now that you mentioned that, I do like the movie. I see it in a different way.
I did like this movie. I just didn't love
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's not a great movie or even a good movie necessarily, but it was a fun watch.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, so let's see, Chris, where do you think this franchise could go from here? Do you think they should make a sequel to this? Do you want to see a dark universe with the monsters? What do you think?
I
They
mean,
could have made a sequel to it.
they killed both both of the Wolfmen who are played by like A-list actors are dead at the end of this movie. Um,
Hey, don't knock on Hugo Weaving, man.
oh, that's fair. That's fair. He could have been. I mean, I guess they could have done a sequel with him. Would you have watched one with him?
No, it would. He's not a big enough of a star
Yeah.
to do that. But he could have started with him as a Wolfman, and he turns another A-list star into the Wolfman protagonist, and he's like the bad Wolfman. I could see that.
I would watch. That would be a good movie.
Where the
I'm on board with
connecting
that. You just
the
sold me on that.
connecting thing is the the
It's Hugo
connection.
Weaving.
I just thought of it now. Yeah, the connection is the villain between the two movies, and he's the villain. So I could see that.
Yeah, I'd be down with that.
Fuck it, let's make
Um,
it.
let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Yeah, I just think if they, yeah, I think there's more to tell with the Wolfman, and I don't know that they really, like you said, they didn't give enough space for quiet Benicio del Toro in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's always just kind of watching other people talk or in Wolfman mode.
Yeah, the tortured soul aspect was, I thought it was going to lean heavier into that for this movie, but it was definitely more actiony than I was hoping. Yeah, so I think the Universal monsters are primed to, the Dark Universe I thought could have been really awesome. You know what I mean? We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
They made the Mummy movie with Tom Cruise, and it was like really bad, and they had some other stuff they were going to try to make I don't know why they need to call it the Dark Universe too. That's pretty dumb. But the Universal Monster Universe could be a thing. I think it could be really cool. Kind of like what they're doing with King Kong and Godzilla, which is actually working. Like they're doing a good job with that.
And I would love to see Benicio del Toro in a Dracula movie. Like, I think that could work again.
As Dracula, that could be good.
Oh, sure. I was just going to say as Wolfman, what were they? A monster rally that they did with all those old movies? Like, yeah, like I don't know. The Dark Universe wasn't the worst idea. They just kind of stumbled out of the gate.
I want a movie called Monster Rally.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Would you call it that, or would you call it Monster Mash? So you could use that song.
Ooh, there you go. Monster Mash. Yeah, so I would like to see at some point maybe a better made version of all these movies again, some kind of universe would be cool. A lot of shit to milk out of that could be good, not even in a bad way. But
I do like that idea that you have, though, of just kind of bringing the Wolfman to another community or something, like the
did I have that idea?
Well, you mentioned it, having Hugo Weaving like getting somebody else in the next movie, and that's the starting action in the next movie.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do a direct sequel to this one at all. They'd probably reboot it in some way.
Yeah, if anything.
They will. It'll come around again. There'll be another Wolfman form or Universal Monster attempt. There's too much involved there. There are too many good IPs,
Oh, without a doubt.
But they're not going to make a sequel because this movie was a bomb at the box office. So it costs $150 million to make.
Wow, that's a big budget for the movie that I watched.
Yeah, I think it just like extended reshoots and a lot of just like missteps or something like that. It took way longer to film, creative differences and all that. Danny Elfman was replaced at one point, and they made a whole new score, and then they scrapped the new score and just used Danny Elfman's original score. So they've spent a lot of money trying to make it better, I think.
Okay.
But in the end, it did win an Oscar
for makeup. An Oscar's an Oscar. Yep.
Yeah.
I did see that there's talk of a Ryan Gosling Wolfman movie.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so it's still pretty early on.
And it was the director of I forget his name, but Blue Ruin and some other kind of like indie cool movies. And I think that could be awesome because he has a really good style and a little bit more toned down. The problem with this was too actiony, right? So a little bit more of the introspective kind of tortured soul aspect that's what makes this good. This character intriguing,
without a doubt. Yeah.
So yeah, it cost $150 million to make, and it made $142 million worldwide. So it made less than its budget, and that doesn't include, advertising and all that.
And that's the worldwide box too. So it's not like there's it's bad.
Yep. Okay. So it didn't do well. It is a lot of money, but the budget was like it did well at the box office, really, for what it's just that they spent so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? What else do you want to talk about here? Is it timeless or a time capsule? I don't know if that really fits for this. Neither.
Yeah, neither.
Yeah, let's see. I think that wraps it up for the Wolfman. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
That's all I've got. Do you have any milk for us this week, Tanner?
Yeah, I got quite a bit. Do you have anything?
I actually don't have anything this week, so I'll turn the floor over to you for a minute here.
Yeah, so there's like we talked about last week, just a bunch of random IP and different things that this character's been in, including Mexican wrestler movies. But I got a few things here. I just briefly I did watch the Monster Squad movie from the 80s.
Excellent.
And that was like a 1987 kind of PG-13 kids movie about a group of kids who come in contact with the Universal monsters as a squad, and they're all there. The creature from the Black Lagoon, Dracula, Wolfman, the Mummy. I think is it the Bride of Frankenstein? Oh, Frankenstein. No, just Frankenstein.
Frankenstein's monster.
Frankenstein's monster. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, it was okay. It was. I thought it was gonna be like this was like a hidden gem I never saw as a kid. The humor, it's very goofy humor. Like he kicks the Wolfman in the nuts and says, "Wolfman's got nards." That's like the big line from the movie. Wolfman's got nards.
That helps me calibrate what to expect from this movie. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so it's like the Sandlot if it was, or that kind of energy. The monsters look very cool. The Wolfman barely talks. He's like he's kind of like Dracula's pet. I think we talked about that from your movie.
Yeah. That was what it was in the Mexican wrestler movie that I watched last week.
And much like the original Frankenstein movie, they make Frankenstein's. Okay, I'm just gonna call him Frankenstein, but they make him like friends with the kids basically and help them fight back against the other monsters, because Frankenstein always had a soft spot for like little girls or like little kids, you know what I mean? In the first movie he like comes across a girl and they kind of become friends, or like he's a sympathetic character in that way. He doesn't want to hurt her. I think he accidentally kills her in the original movie, something like that, because he's just so strong. But anyway, that's that movie. It's a fun movie. It was written by Shane Black, who's done a lot of good movies like Lethal Weapon and stuff. Yeah,
and Predator.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good time. Let's see, what else did I watch here? Oh, I played this game called The Wolfman for, I think it came out on like, I don't even know, Commodore 64 or something, some old PC. It's a text-based game, and it's just one of those like, it's all text, just a prompt of like, you wake up in a room, this happens, you see this and that. What do you do? Have you ever played a game like that?
That sounds a little bit like that Indiana Jones game that we looked at.
Well, no, it's completely just text. It's literally just
it's only words. Okay.
Only words. So this is like the original kind of video games that they had of like story video games would just be like kind of a description of the room and then what do you do? Completely open-ended, but there's nothing. It's extremely hard. I played it for like a half an hour and it's like you just basically it says you have like you wake up, you have a bloody hands and you have a bloody double, and what do you do? And I was like, wash double, wash hands. And so those prompts worked, and I'm like, get up, get out of bed, go outside. And none of those prompts worked, and I could not figure out what to do, because you have to be very specific about what you're saying. So much so that like there's a mirror on the wall, and I kept writing like, look at mirror, go to mirror, and eventually it worked finally, because I had to look up some stuff. Just look mirror, and that was the prompt that made it. So I could see that
mirror did not work. Okay,
right,
yeah.
So then you wash your face, and I finally got out of the first room. Basically, I burned my double, my bloody stuff, and washed my face and cleaned up. And then you get out, and so the first time I got out, I hadn't like cleaned myself fully, and then got out of my bedroom, and then the inspector sees you and sees, they're like, oh, that's him, string him up, kill him, the end of the game. The game ended. And then so you get out of there after cleaning yourself, and then nobody suspects you, or it's less suspicion. But yeah, that's basically the game. It's like playing a novel. and all these different outcomes. It's almost like a choose your own adventure style.
Hey,
Well, there's
there we
different
go.
endings. The stuff just ends randomly, and you have to start over from the beginning, and you learn what all the prompts do. But it's not something I'm going to play for much longer.
No, it sounds like kind of a
Tedious.
flavor of gaming that's a little tedious and a little we're a little past that now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was something I did. I'll put that up on our YouTube for our gaming side of things, which I like to do. And the last thing I want to talk about is it's not really Wolfman related, but I might have sent it to you. I don't know if you saw it, but the 60 Minutes video, 60 Minutes Australia, Wolfman. It's like a 10-minute thing on this guy who goes by the Wolfman, and he's a real guy who like lives in a pen with wolves, and like he's like their alpha, and like he's like he'll like open his mouth and they'll like be licking the inside of his mouth, and he like just literally like lives in a pen with wolves and like learns how to howl and teaches them how to howl, and like uh yeah.
Weird, dude. Weird.
Yeah, and they call him the Wolfman, and there's like a bunch of it. They must have filmed it over a long time, because at one point it shows him like he finds these new wolf pups, and then like stays with them in the cage from birth, basically, and like lives. I think he brings in like dead deer and stuff, and like eats with them.
Jesus. Okay.
And he talks about how like he's like, I've never been more healthy in here, besides the ticks and the worms that I get.
Yeah, besides those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're treating it all very seriously. And he's spent so much time in this wolf pen that his wife and 4 kids left him, and he's just like totally fine with it because he's like a wolf man now. And he met a new woman who's like his. It's just this crazy story, just like whatever you want to call it. Not a character. He's not a character, but little piece on this man from Australia.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
is the wolf man. So
All right.
he basically did what the he took what's that guy's name? Not the crocodile hunter, except now he's a full wolf man. They just do things differently down there, I
That's
guess,
right.
down under. No, so that was very enlightening, and just watching these wolves, like he's getting bloody. They're like playing with him and like biting his head. He's got concussions from them like biting him and like making him bleed, and he's just doing it.
I mean,
It's
I get Jane Goodall observing
sure.
monkeys because like they're close to humans and they're not going to eat you alive. But wolves is a whole different. That's a different.
Yeah, and I don't
Yeah.
even know so much if he's studying them, but one thing that kind of ends with a thing where he invented this. He realized like he invented some, or he came up with the idea at least of like playing recordings of howls to for farmers, local farmers in the area, to get wolves to not come and eat their animals.
Oh,
So like they just like play loud howling and get the wolves to go. It's almost like a scarecrow technique. So that
okay.
was his thing that kind of ended on like, oh, he invented or he came up with this idea, and this was the benefit of him doing all this.
I liked it. Yeah. I
Yeah.
wonder if he like has a specific howl that tells the other wolves to go away. I wonder if there's one of those,
It's just
or is it
howling,
just loud howling noises?
howling in general, because it's like, oh, there's already a pack here. We're not
Oh,
gonna,
okay.
because they're all about alphas and
Yeah,
dominance and all that. So there's already an alpha and a pack there. They're gonna move on somewhere else. I
yeah,
think
that makes sense.
is the thing. Yeah, just a crazy thing, but I don't know if he's inspired by the movie, but it was called The Wolfman of Australia, so I thought it was.
I've enjoyed
What?
doing this one because there's so much like I feel like the Wolfman isn't like branded quite the same way. It's not like you couldn't do like a Mickey Mouse movie with Mexican wrestlers, but the Wolfman seems to be kind of like anybody can use this IP. So you get all these weird side things like that and some of the other stuff that we've looked at.
Yeah,
It's been kind
that
of fun.
is.
Yeah.
I don't know if like how that works as far as like copyright goes, but werewolves aren't copywritten by
Right.
Universal, but you're right that it does seem like lots of people can use that brand or that name
Yeah.
for things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my actual Wolfman story.
Cool. I love it.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about on this Wolfman before we move on to our next franchise?
I don't have anything else, but should we tease what we're going to be chatting about next week?
Yeah, so make sure to take our survey on the Wolfman 2010, and we'll read your responses next week when we start our new franchise, which is what?
Oh man, Tanner! Imagine if something was half robot and half cop. What would you get?
Oh, a Robo Man.
So close, but so
the
far
Robo
away.
Man, the Were Robot.
We're watching the RoboCop movies, and I could not be more
Oh,
excited. Yeah,
that is exciting.
Yeah,
yeah, great stuff.
yeah. We're heading to Detroit. We're
Is
doing
that where it takes place?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's gonna be good. I'm excited to watch those movies with you.
I'm so glad we decided that because I really want to play RoboCop Rogue City. It's coming out, first person game that's comes out in a couple days. So I'll be having a good time with that milk.
Heck yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, and I'm excited to see what other RoboCop stuff there is out there for us to pick through.
There's so much.
Okay, excellent. I can't wait.
Yep.
But in the meantime, as we mentioned at the top of the show, we put out a survey every week. So there's going to be a bunch of questions and jokes and prompts from the movie Werewolf 2010 that we just finished talking about. So check out the survey and check back in next week to hear us talk about RoboCop.
Yep. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.